All right, good evening, everyone. This is the US Chess Executive Board meeting. Today is today is November 12th. November 12th. I'm actually looking at the wrong agenda. Printed the wrong one off. All right, so let's go ahead and let's call the roll. Let me go to my screen here so I make sure I get everyone. All right, let's start with John Fernandez, Vice President.
AWOL.
Okay, I'm missing John. Vice President of Finance, Chuck Unruh.
Present.
Secretary, Mike Hoffpower.
Present.
Member at Large, Randy Bauer. We believe he's joining us later. Member at Large, Layla Dakan. She just messaged me that she's got an issue with her Wi-Fi. So she's trying alternate ways of getting in. Member at Large, David Hayter.
Present.
Member at Large, Lakshmana Vishwanath. Fish.
Here in Nepal.
In Nepal.
Yeah, he's Paul
And
Sherpa now.
And Executive Director Renee Bartlett.
Present.
All right, so I'm going to send a quick message. Renee, if you don't mind sending a quick message to John, reminding him.
I did.
Okay, thank you. I know how it is sometimes that you're doing other stuff and you got your head down and you turn around and it's like, oh my gosh. I'm
Probably got a
missing-
kid in the tub or something.
Well, that
He
could
may be
true
out
as
of the
well.
country too. He was
Well, do you know
traveling.
what? He did recently post from, I think he said he was back in Estonia. So, all right. So let's go ahead and let me ask if there are any conflict of interest to be disclosed that need to be disclosed. Any new conflicts of interest? All right. Then we'll move on because there are none. And let's turn it over to our Vice President of Finance, Chuck Unruh, for the financial report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The finances of U.S. Chess. It's a tough month when we look at October, but the difficulties arise. The bottom line shows a large negative, but we knew this would happen. This was not unexpected, and when we met back in August, we were aware that there would be unusual event losses coupled with expenditures for IT upgrades. And that has come to pass. And so what happens is, as we went along and we paid all of our bills and we made sure that we were sound in our operations, what came to pass is that finally, November 1, we paid off the Rosen Hotel for the attrition penalties. So that ended that saga. But during the month of October, we also had a few things, storm clouds in the way of a significant loss as interest rates went up. We had unrealized capital losses of $80,000. We have since recovered those. So I'm saying October is probably the low point in our finances. We'll see that our cash has, of course, constricted and decreased because our reserve fund now sits at about $370,000. We have approximately 2 more payments to LEGO coming up. It may take the reserve all the way down to 170. Now that reserve started at $1,135,000. So fortunately, this is the end of what I think is a decrease in operational funds. From here on out, I believe that we can look back and say, yes, that was a one-time occurrence. Last year, our events didn't come through as we thought. And of course, we know the story of the Pan Am Youth. So in that, what happened during that time that really has made operations very survivable is the fact that we've had 2 positions open. In fact, I think we've saved in excess of $500,000, but we can't keep those positions open forever. Those need to be filled going forward. Fortunately, my report tonight, thanks to our executive director, she tells me that the upcoming tournament is going to break records. And breaking numbers as far as records usually means record revenue. So the report that came out from Misty Scott with Bestow, if we looked at it, we have 2 months worth of cash burn. Now that includes our events. That's not good. We usually have 6 months, but now we survived. We not only survived, but we're very solid financially. Most of our wealth is concentrated in our investments, of course, in Life Member Asset Trust, in the Endowment Trust Fund. And as from here, we move forward into the best part of our business cycle. It will depend on our margins at these tournaments. Have we learned to operate in this new paradigm of hotel expenses and other costs that have escalated? And I believe we have. So I'm fairly optimistic on the next 4 or 5 months. As far as investments, not as optimistic. The long side of the interest rates keeps inching up. When that inches up, of course, interest-sensitive portfolios are going to have some capital losses. They don't know where it'll stop. Right now, we're at the top in the 10-year for the last, since they cut interest rates. Well, what interest rates did they cut? They cut the short term, and they, being the Federal Reserve, lowered the short-term rates, which is good. The sign that inflation has abated somewhat. But the long side of the bonds, the 10-year note and the 20-year U.S. Treasury bond, have increased in yields ever since. And this morning, they were really at the top. The next move is to 5%. Well, the tragic story for the nation is if the long bond keeps increasing, mortgage rates will stay very, very high while the affordability of housing is already stretched for the most buyers. Well, that isn't good for the nation. But going back, it's not good for our portfolios that have to compete against the long bond. Well, the good news is we do own a few long bonds. We do own a few bond funds that are yielding 8%. And we have ample cash CDs so that if the interest rate does increase, we can take advantage of that income, the increase in income from 4 to 6% or from 4 to 8, wherever it stops. I lived through the 1970s, as many of you have. And it was, are the interest rates going to stop going up? And finally, under Volcker and Reagan, they stopped them, 18%. And that's what broke the back of inflation. Now, I'm not saying that could happen, but it's a wild card. And we may face a little bit of that. So I'm not as optimistic going forward on our investments. We'll have plenty of income, just as we forecast. So the budget's good. Now, a little bit about the budget as we go on. Terrible that it's a $600,000 loss at this point. We capitalize, of course, the IT. But the good news is we're $41,000 ahead when considering the $80,000 worth of capital loss last month in the investments. Now, I told you already in November, we've gained it back. So what was taken away in October, we'll get back in this November report. And that's why, guarded optimism. Renee can talk about the operations here. How are we doing on filling those slots, Renee?
We are working diligently to fill those 2 slots. I hope to be able to have an announcement soon. On that, we're holding steady on membership. We're just over 112,000 members, so that is staying very stable. I have a report on the national K-12 numbers as of 7 a.m. this morning. In grades K through 1, we had 232 registrants, and in grades 2 through 12, 2,429 registered. We have caps, but it looks like the cost increase on registration and the timing of the early deadlines is working. And so we're seeing most of the people who are registered, they've come in and registered early to take advantage of the lower rates, and they went up significantly today.
Thank you. Anything you'd like to add to my financial report?
No, well, except that you're right. The cash reserves dropping to 2 months is the biggest difference from previous months' reports. And so moving forward, we'll need to focus on rebuilding the reserve fund.
Okay, that's why I'm cautiously optimistic, if that's such a term. So, any questions on my financial report or on the financials that we released earlier today? Not hearing
Chuck,
any.
you did mention that
Yeah.
there was a $100,000 balance after LEGO payments. What was that? After we
Yes,
make
yes.
the LEGO?
We
It's
anticipate.
not legal. It's not legal. It's LEGO.
Ego.
And that's the company that's actually working on our software infrastructure upgrades.
Yes,
Yes.
sir, Mr. President. Thanks for that clarity. It'd be easy
Yeah.
to say legal. And well, at the start, our capital budget was 500,000. To date, we have performance payments of 300,000 that we have met with the help of the reserve fund. We have 2 more payments, and hopefully, I believe I was told that they're almost there where they can start online beta testing.
Right. Renee
Right.
gave us an update on that. Renee, could you just give us the projected go live date?
Sure. We have, as Chuck said, 2 more payments. We have one, if the testing goes well, at the end of December, and another one at the end of January, early February. So we're going to have the system up and running alongside our current one, because we don't want to let Super Nationals be the guinea pig. So they'll be running side by side, and we'll be able to see how it works.
Does that affect
Yes.
tournament directors submit tournaments, or that's not affected?
No, it doesn't. It's still going to, it's just replacing Gambit in terms of where you turn in reports. There will be additional options in terms of what pairing software you could use and to upload your reports in addition to WinTD and SwissSys. LEGO will also develop their own platform to do that.
So are we gonna develop any
Hello?
kind of training or information to go out to people?
Yes, absolutely. When we're ready to go, we will have scheduled sessions with TDs.
Okay, and I'm still looking to hear a date which will launch in parallel.
It'll be this spring.
In the spring, so March, April.
Could be earlier if the testing goes well. Could be February.
Okay, so you're saying then by sometime around March, we're running both systems in parallel. We're going to
Yes.
continue through Super Nationals because we don't want to mess that up. But then on the other side, at some point, we're cutting over after that.
That's right. And we'll also have new event pages. Right now, we're running the legacy site
Yeah.
on events for registration.
So I think the important piece around this is just to put together a bit of a timeline that could be shared with the board, and then perhaps at a later point shared with just our members, constituents, because everyone's been looking forward to this. So just to give people an idea of when there could be a potential cutover, and then what are some of the features that we are expecting to see. I don't think we have to go into those now, but it would just be good to to lay out some type of communication so that our people can be aware of the good things that we're anticipating with this change.
Financially, we are prepared to meet the obligations. We're fine.
Well, that's good. They won't bail on us because we didn't pay them.
No, we will
So that's
perform
good.
if they will perform.
All right.
That is the
All
end of
right,
my report, Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much. And see, do we have to move on the report and accept it?
No,
Or-
you just ask if any EB members have any questions, and after
Okay.
that, you go to closed
Yeah.
session. If
Great. Are there any other questions related to the financial report? All right, then thank you. We are going to go ahead and close open session for now to go into closed session, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, we are coming back into open session. We've finished the closed, and we've got one motion to discuss.
that's correct, Mr. President. We have one motion from the executive board where we discussed a safe play issue in closed session. And the board will vote now on the following motion. The executive board moves to suspend the U.S. Chess membership of Sean Graham Bowcaster, U.S. Chess ID 125905777, for 1 year effective November 12th, 2024, for violations of U.S. Chess Safe Play Policy, Section 3, prohibited conduct, subsections B and D for bullying and harassment. The executive board further moves that the membership suspension be set aside and that Mr. Graham Bowcaster be placed on probation for 1 year or through November 11th, 2025. During the 1 year period of probation, should Mr. Graham Bowcaster have another incident in which he violates the U.S. Chess Safe Play Policy in connection with a U.S. Chess sanctioned or rated event, then the U.S. Chess Executive Board has the authority to revoke the probation and suspend Mr. Graham Bowcaster's membership for at least 1 year, beginning on the date the Executive Board votes to remove the probation. Mr. President, that's the end of the motion.
Okay, great. And let me add just a point of order, if I may. I'd like to recognize Randy Bauer, who joined us, so that he can be an official part of the record for the upcoming vote. So we'll now go to vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
10:02 p.m.
Oh, thank you. All right, the motion carries.
And please note for the record that Chuck Unruh has abstained from this motion.
All right, thank you. All right, so at this point, we will bring our meeting to a close. Our next big activity for US Chess, of course, is the K through 12 at Baltimore National Harbor. We are understanding we're going to have record numbers. And so we're really excited about that. And we look forward to that huge event. Have a good night. I have a request for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved. Seconded. All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Oh, we need to vote. Do we need to vote on that? We're adjourned.
No.
All right, good.